No more tenant fees. The new law does not mean tenants will not have to pay any upfront fees at all. They will still be expected to pay the first month's rent and a deposit. There might also be a fee of about £50 if a tenant requests to change to the tenancy, and also one if a tenant wants to leave the contract early. Hi, Trevor Cutmore here. Welcome to my YouTube channel again. I am interviewing Paul Medgley, and he has a letting agency in London. So, welcome, and we're going to talk about really the agent versus landlord, what's good, what's bad, the relationship, the concept, and really what's happening again in the letting legislation, especially with no fees. So, what's the common misconception of landlords with a letting agent? Because obviously I've just started my letting agency. You've already been running one for several years. What is it like?
A common misconception is that we would just put properties on Rightmove and Zoopla and let applicants come to ourselves, and that we don't do much. However, the reality is very different. We actually give our landlords advice on how to present a property, on how to price it well. Problems we do face is that often landlords expect a high price for a property, but they don't present it well. The property is not presented well. So if there's not a price and presentation is not factored in well when marketing a property, it will just sit on the market for weeks and weeks, and then landlords end up having a void period and they actually lose money. So I think landlords, they should also look at how they present their property, invest in that, and very seldom will there be any void period, and a void period of course means that you lose money.
And absolutely, it's funny actually you said that, because my business partner in the new letting agency that I've just set up yesterday, on Friday, we actually went in and saw a new landlord's property. It was a multi-let. Only 2 of the rooms are being let out, although both those are leaving. And we have 5 people that want to move in from the construction, because there's a whole bypass being built. So there's an influx of these people, which are great. They're all, blue-collar workers, pay well, want to come in for the week and then want to go home. So they're really good tenants to have, and probably 2 years they're going to be around. However, when we looked at the property, it was in a poor state, or just not presented. There's nothing on the bed, there's no colour, there's no lights, and it is bog standard plain. And the trouble is, you go and try and sell that, when even, blue collar workers, they go in, they see it, they actually think, okay, they see one, down the street they're going to see another one that's dressed, they're going to have it. So what my business partner did, she rang up the landlord and said, listen, I've got these people, I think they're going to like the house, I just need you to okay a little bit of money so I can dress the house, and we do it. And that's what she did. She went and did it, went in, and they all loved it, and they said, we're having it. It makes a difference.
Yes, it's about adding value.
It is, adding value. And not only that, she managed to get more rent than they were asking for.
Yeah, fantastic.
And and I think she spent, it was less than £200 on dressing the rooms. That was it. So, for a small investment. So look, let that be a tip for landlords. Work with the agents. Don't see them as a money-grabbing enemy or anything. It is about listening to them, because the most important thing, and I think we spoke about this, is an agent is the one that has the finger on the pulse of the local economy and local business and the local market. Would you agree?
Yes.
And that adds value.
No, definitely.
Yeah. So look, obviously you're in Wimbledon. What's the market like in Wimbledon?
Rental prices are actually quite high in Wimbledon. It has been. It's a lot tougher than it was 2 or 3 years ago. Properties do sit on the market. Rental properties sit on the market a lot longer than they did previously, especially the houses. A lot of it's more high end than other parts of London. So we have to basically work harder in order to let those properties. We have to do phone through, call applicants, speak to corporate companies, speak to companies like Lidl who have their headquarters in Wimbledon. So a bit more proactiveness is required these days. And obviously we have to give good advice to landlords on how to present their properties.
Okay, and it's quite funny because some of the rooms that you were let out, if it's a room by room basis, you get more in a week than we get in a month. And it is quite funny, but it's different markets, and that's fine because you look in Lincoln. I know my market, I know the economy. I buy properties here, I'm building properties, and it's about having the confidence with your letting agent. Now obviously you have a franchise. I know from landlords and myself, there are a lot of landlords out there that don't want to go to these big corporate chains because they feel like they won't get personal service, because they're quite transient in staff rather than having almost a small independent family run where they feel that they get better service. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. A lot of landlords, they buy into the agent as a person rather than the company.
Yeah.
They want someone that they can go back to year after year, who's going to be there and not be there for just 3 to 6 months in a company which has got a high turnover. So, lettings is all about building personal relationships and having trust in someone to look after your property, someone you can call on their mobile whenever you have a question about your property. It's all about service and giving a good personal service.
Excellent. And one of the things about trust, because that's really important, money. Let's just briefly talk about money. So in my agency, we want to do, one of the reasons I've taught mine is because a lot of my properties are dealing cash. They're going into a place and paying cash. I don't want to touch cash. I really don't. So I've set up on using PayProp, which is a really good system. There's a previous email where I interviewed the guy. If you want to go and watch that, tell you all about it. But having trust and confidence in the system that the letting agent manages your money and gets it to you is imperative in the way that you can build that trust.
Okay, so since the 1st of April, it is a legal requirement for letting agents to have money in a separate client account and have client money protection be part of a scheme. We currently are with UCALA, which is the United Kingdom Association of Letting Agents. We're with their policy, which is one of our franchises approved policies. In the event that the estate agency were to go bankrupt, the money is kept in a separate client account. It's insured. The account is actually checked by UCALA once a year. The bank statements are checked just to make sure everything is as it should be. And it just offers added protection to landlords. So always ensure your letting agent has client money protection that covers any client money, which is rent, deposits prior to them getting registered with one of the government approved schemes, and it just ensures added protection for landlords.
It's a really good point, and please, when you are renting, it is nice to have, small independent agents, but they're the ones you have to be a little bit more stringent about their systemization, and you want your money protected. Unfortunately, look, let's talk a little bit about fees, which are changing basically within the next week. By the time this comes out, it will probably be in force. And that is no fees to tenants. And you and I know, and I know this, even Sarah Lawson on YouTube has been talking about many agencies are already shutting up shop and running away because they feel that because of they can't charge those tenants fees, they think that's it, they've gone. And when we were speaking earlier, you said that some will either go to the wall or they will just start charging it to the landlord, as they should. So I've had some discussions with landlords we're taking on and said, look, we won't be charging you the whole fee as we would a tenant, but hard cost fees we have to charge you, and there will be a small administration which will be completely transparent about. So if you take the tenant deposit scheme, okay, we use my deposits through NLA, National Landlords Association. Now, if you go back a few years, I remember when you used to have to pay I think it was £25 to register that deposit. That's all gone now. It's free to register deposits for us. But we still got to produce paperwork. We've got to see the tenants. We've got to sign with the tenants and sign on behalf of the landlord. That still takes a bit of work. So we're only going to charge a small admin fee, but there's no money for depositing. So we're not trying to, force and say, oh, it costs this. We are being very transparent. So we are going to pass those costs on to landlords, but not be extravagant. So are you doing similar? What are your views on it?
We will have to increase our costs slightly to landlords. It's not the same equivalent amount of what we were charging tenants, but there is a fixed cost element, as Trevor was saying, that we have to cover. I do believe that most landlords will be fine with that, and inevitably those costs will be passed on to the tenant indirectly through rent increases. Just to help landlords cover their costs.
That's interesting you should say that, Paul, because when this was coming in, it was referred to by many people, many commentators, and in magazines and articles I was reading, they're calling it the new tenant tax. Because look, let's be honest, as soon as a cost is taken from a tenant and it's put onto a landlord, it is not going to stay there for long. Now, what we can't do is to wrap up fees in the first 6 months and say, well, what we're going to do is we're going to charge you an extra £50 a month or £20 a month and to claw back those fees. You can't do that. So what we can do is to put rents up. And so not only will you get your extra 20 quid a month more, whatever it's going to be, but all of your portfolio now, and every portfolio around the country, and my prediction is by Christmas, most rents will be going up. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe even before that. Our costs are going up from next month, and in the summer, especially September, that's when a lot of tenancies start as students come back, or tenants come back from holidays. And as there will be a lot of tenancies starting during that time, the rents would have increased by that time. So I'd say June, July, August, September, within 3 months from the tenant fee ban, I think they will be going up.
All right. And what about, look, I think that really sort of covers the situation on letting agencies with fees. And if you haven't spoken to your letting agent, you need to address this now. Don't leave it just for them to cope with something, because you might find at your next statement there's a charge to you. And I know that a lot of, you see, as a landlord, I wouldn't have a problem with that, but I would have a problem if my letting agent hasn't spoken to me and been absolutely transparent on what's going to happen. Then I would have a bit of a problem. Now, they could come back and say, well, the legislation's changed, someone's got to pay for it, it's not going to be us. It's the wrong attitude to have, by the way, if you're a letting agent. You need to be upfront communicating, because communication is simply the best way to go. And look, legislation, as you know, Paul, has been changing over the last, 3-4 years. There's been a lot. Well, since 2015, the Deregulation Act came in, then the Immigration Act, and then all these other things. So what are you doing to help landlords? Because it's about us as agents adding value and showing our worth to landlords. Because a lot of landlords out there think, well, letting agent, you're just getting free money. That's not so. We do add value. But let's just talk, what about legislation and how we add value to those landlords?
Well, we have a compliance director that all they do is update us on the legislation. We send out emails to our landlords on when there are renewals. We have an opportunity to have a discussion with our landlords. So we tell them about the changes in legislation, give them an update, and we educate them on the changes.
What's been the biggest one that's affected landlords the most? Did you actually tell landlords about Section 24, the change in tax changes? Did you inform them about that? Or
I do it one-on-one. So when I have a chat with them about another issue, first I would add that in and just have a general chat about it. We also had we've also got leaflets or brochures which explain it in greater detail, so we would email it to them or mail it out. Basically, they wouldn't get this information any other way other than getting it from ourselves, and some were not even aware of it because a lot of them are, some of them are abroad.
Yeah.
They don't know about all these changes, and they're actually surprised when they find out about it.
No, absolutely. I mean, just with the changes in the carbon monoxide and smoke detectors, a lot of them didn't know. And even when tenants come in and we have to get them to sign off to say that the apparatus is working, and they understand, landlords just do not keep themselves up to speed. So again, your letting agent is there to be a source of information and a wealth of information and knowledge for you. And that's something that you can absolutely benefit. Listen, Paul, I want to thank you for that. Have you got anything that you would like to put out there to help landlords or make them more aware of what agents do?
I think landlords need to just keep up to date with the legal changes that are changing all the time. I'd say a good website. If you're self-managing your properties and you're a hands-on landlord, I think a good website to go to would be the NLA website, which has a abundance of this information. If you are a landlord who allows an agent to manage your property or lives abroad, then I think you need to see if you are getting updates from your agents. If not, I think give them a call or even go to the NLA website, which has all this information that you can look at. NLA website is
www.landlords.org. Okay, so I will put that down there for you. Listen, lastly, Paul, do you want to, put how they can contact you, where you are, your agency, so, if someone's got property in that area, they can contact you?
Yes, I'm with the national franchise, Martin & Co. My agency is in Wimbledon, so my website is wimbledon.martinco.com.
And telephone number?
0208 543 5629.
Listen, I wish you all the best. I hope you have a really good journey in your property management, and if you're using an agent, connect with them, talk to them, stay in contact with them, and keep up to speed with legislation. Paul, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Trevor.
Bless you. All the best. Bye-bye.